Dave's been on the show before. He could have easily had done this interview from home. He's in the office, still
Oh
working.
yeah.
I mean, that speaks volumes about the kind of character that these guys have in the office.
Yeah, he's on his lunch break. So get back to work, Dave.
It's 10:30 at night and he's still in the office. I just wanted to point that out. Hello, friends and brothers. This is Justin Jones with Masonic Improvement, joined with my co-host, Dennis Yates. How goes it, Dennis?
It goes very well. And the reason why, it's almost a bittersweet, right? Because we're almost there. We're almost to Grand Lodge. However, we have this one more interview that we have to give before we get there. And this is the shaker and mover of all of Waco. And he's going to help us with everything that we have to know about Grand Lodge and what to expect. You know, I love this brother. The first time I met him, he was the worshipful master of Waco 92. And I have loved him ever since. And I would like to introduce you to my friend and my Brother Dave McHam, our grandest Grand Lodge secretary's office manager that exists in this land of Texas. Welcome on board.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the kind words. That's awesome.
That's quite the title, Dave.
Yeah, I like it. I don't think it'll fit on a business card, but
I
I
know.
don't
I was
have
gonna
any.
say
So.
I'm gonna get a plaque door. If you had a door, I'll have to put a hanger coming down from the ceiling tile with a big old long 5 foot long, description of your title there.
Yeah, no door for me. I like to sit out where all the action's happening, so I'm right here in the middle of it.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you're there now. Wow, you're working late.
Yeah, I am. If I can show the camera, I'm actually printing the Grandmaster's report right now. So
Oh,
getting those all ready to go, and we've got registration packets all getting stuffed right now. Well, the fellas left they left a little after lunch today, but they'll be back in the morning to finish up the registration packets. The clickers, the voting machines arrive tomorrow, and so we're on track for everything.
yes.
So
I
And
forgot y'all repainted in there because Dennis is like,
that's
here
what
are the
I was
options. Like,
that's
thinking.
right.
what are
Yeah,
you talking about? I forgot about
yeah. We
that.
repainted. It's haven't hung the blinds yet, but we got the paint in, and it looks great. It's such a fresh look. Let's see. I don't know if I can show
Well,
you. We got all the past grand secretaries hung up on the back wall back there. I'm not sure if it's visible, but stop by and see it. We're real proud of it. Making progress all the time. So we've got some more things planned in the next year that we've already got approval for. So
Nice.
it's going to just continue to keep making this place beautiful and making it a place where everybody's real proud to call home. So
Now that the paint's dry, are you gonna put the payphones back up?
no payphones are going back up.
Okay.
Those
Put
things
them
are,
in the museum.
yes,
man, save them for me. I'll buy them.
they were so popular. I couldn't believe how many people wanted one. So,
Oh, really?
but
Yes.
I think they've all been claimed and picked up. And that room downstairs has also got a remodel as well. And cabinetry has been put in the countertop space for the merchandise area. So the merchandise guys actually have a place to like organize and store all of the past grand merchandise. So it looks real great. If you get a chance, pop
Nice.
your head in there, and I'm so proud of it. So Charlie Rabilia, a member of Crawford 585, did a lot of good work down there, and so it looks fantastic.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
I've been in that albatross of stuff down there, and man, it's overwhelming. I'm a paraphernalia guy. I walk the halls every time I go into Grand Lodge looking for something I can buy, and going into that room, that even intimidated me. So
Yeah,
I had to hear that. That's
it
awesome.
was definitely in need of an update, and it got it. And so still needs a few things, I think, but on top of that, we also expanded our Shopify capabilities. So now we have a point of sale system and an iPad, so we can check out things in a cash register just like a real store. And then we bought all the merchandise guys USB chip readers, so they'll be able to take credit cards as long as they've got Wi-Fi. They'll be able to take credit cards on Shopify and sell merchandise in the 21st century. So, or at
Very
least the
cool.
20th
Awesome.
century, huh?
Yes.
Yeah,
That is so awesome.
yeah.
That y'all are doing so great. I'm so proud of you. You know, that's and I'm so proud for Texas Freemason. You know, we've needed this for so long now. I mean, golly, we've dealt with credit cards since, well, almost as long as I've been alive, which is, you know, a
A
little over
long
50
time.
years. Yeah, a little over 50 years. But it's really been strong over the last 30 years. So being able to do it today and then having the options of online capabilities to make it happen no matter where you are, then man, that's awesome. Get me closer to that merch and I'm good to go. I'm excited. And those books, by the way, you know, that's another thing.
Yeah, we're really excited for everybody to come down and take a look.
I can't wait.
Gonna
Yeah.
be awesome.
So Justin, you want to kick it off or you want me to kick it off?
Why don't you kick it off and we'll roll with it.
Okay. Well, I was thinking, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that it's their first time to ever come to Grand Lodge. There's a lot of first time masters of lodges that are going to come to witness Grand Lodge for the first time. What typically happens at Grand Lodge? First, is there still time to register real quick?
Okay, so online registration has closed,
Okay, I figured it had.
and the reason why is we have to have enough time to pack those pre-registration packets.
Yeah.
And if we don't close it at some point, there's just no opportunity for those hardworking volunteers from MDIT and Stanford to come in and actually do the work that they do. And man, I tell you, they are a fine, well-oiled machine. That volunteer crew that came in, and they're going to be here tomorrow. They are so great about putting those packets together, and then of course Crawford 585 takes it from there and hands them out when the brothers come in. But that's the reason why a lot of people called frustrated that they didn't get in time into pre-registration. Pre-registration was open in early November, and we just had to close it on the 6th because we had to print all the labels, and those labels have to be adhered to the ballots, to their name badge, to
Yep.
the outside of the packet. So we have to have enough time to give those volunteers to do their job. And so a lot of people called and were disappointed that they missed pre-registration. And I feel real bad about that. But at some point, you have to close it to give ourselves a fighting chance to get ready for everybody. So,
Yes, there's
yeah.
always that go date. You just gotta, you know, or that hard stop date that you just have to implement. And I completely understand. That's why I usually do it in the first couple of hours of registration.
So I'm the same
As
way.
soon as
I
I
do
saw
it.
it.
Yeah. So I'm the same way. First day opens, I just go ahead and pre-register right away because I want to make sure I get it done. So
Yeah,
Yes,
jump on it.
I competing against the crowd, right? I want to see if I get to be one of the ones to slow down the system or not. And this year, actually, I didn't see it slow down at all, and I didn't hear anybody see that either. So I think we did real good this year.
yeah, I think we did all right.
So typically, let's go ahead and start. Um, is there anything that's going to happen the night before Wednesday before Grand Lodge?
The only thing I'm aware of on Wednesday night is a home cooking fundraiser at Waco 92 Wednesday night at 6 p.m. I know that the John Michael Gillespie, he's a past master of Waco 92. Him and his wife and myself, we're kind of collaborating on this fundraiser for the building fund.
Yep.
And it's kind of like a pre Grand Lodge warm up. Past Master Gillespie wanted to make sure that everybody got a home cooked meal before Grand Lodge started because, as you know, we don't eat so good, we don't sleep so good, we imbibe probably a little too much during those next few days, and
Yes.
so our goal is to get a good home cooked meal in everybody, and so we're gonna have plates available for $20 a person that come out, just hang out. No politics, no real agenda, just a fellowship and a good home cooked meal.
Very nice. And I'm texting, I was looking down because I'm texting people right now telling them, hey, I want to go to this dinner. And so tickets will be available as I roll in. It's not a prepay, or is there a
Yeah,
prepay option? How?
there'll be a prepay link. I just haven't posted it yet.
Okay.
I've been a little busy, but I'm
Hey,
catching
we got a ways to
up.
go. I'm thinking it's
You got
tomorrow.
plenty of time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No.
rush, right? What else have we got to do?
very cool. That's an excellent idea because there's so many of us that come in on Wednesday and we just don't know where to go. We typically find some. I can always find some place for my scotch. So that's I can find a place. But
Yeah,
to eat before and get those nutrients built up, yeah.
yeah. And bring that scotch, right? So if you want to have a post dinner scotch there at the lodge, we will not be opening lodge, so we can certainly have it on the premises now, thanks to the resolution that was passed last year. So if you imbibe and you want to bring something, feel free and bring it. And we're gonna have tea and water available. But if you want to,
Resolution number 9.
that's right. If you
Can't
want to
forget.
bring anything else, it's open for you to do so.
Is that dinner open
Very
for
nice.
family also?
Absolutely. Yep.
Nice.
Everyone's welcome.
Awesome. Well, let me handle the next part here because
Go
so we talked
ahead.
about Wednesday night, and I'm thinking about Thursday morning now. But this really applies
Yes.
any morning when you first arrive. You just get to Waco, you just pull up the Grand Lodge, you're ready to register. What does registration look like for pre-registered individuals as opposed to those that have to register?
Absolutely. So if you're pre-registered and you're just going to get in line in the pre-registration area, they're going to check your dues card to make sure that you've got a valid dues card. They're probably going to scan it now that we have the Q&R code. This first year we've done that, but I'm assuming they're going to take a look at it, make sure you're good, and you're going to get in line and you're going to pick up your pre-registration packet that's already there. I have a few more to do, but we're almost done with those pre-registration packets. They're lined up, and you'll be able to pick up inside that packet will be your name badge, which will show the Grand Tyler and the Grand Tyler's assistant that you're registered to come in to the grand session. You're going to have a resolution book for the proposed resolutions. You're going to have a program inside there. You're going to have your ballot book if you're a voting member, and your clicker or clickers, depending on your situation, if you are due those clickers inside that packet as well.
Wonderful.
So you pick that up. Now, if you have not pre-registered, then you take a left there at the registration desk, and you'll basically walk through those steps, and they'll scan your card, take your money, and move through those steps to get you a registration packet that you would have gotten had you pre-registered. But if you didn't, there's going to be guys on hand to walk you through the process, and it's kind of a step by step. You move to this station, pick up that, and at the end, you'll end up with the same items that you would have gotten had you pre-registered.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Now, just real quick though, is there any can if people come in on Wednesday, can they go by Grand Lodge Wednesday afternoon, or would y'all prefer everybody just wait and walk in on Thursday?
I think it's best if you are pre-registered, I believe you can come in on Wednesday afternoon and pick up your packet, but actual registration won't open until Thursday morning. And so you'd have to wait if you haven't pre-registered. You'd have to wait until Thursday morning for them to take you. But if you are pre-registered, 9 times out of 10 you can come by, and those guys are ready to go ahead and hand out packets.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I've done that before, and it made it a lot easier for me because I'm not always up early on Thursday morning. So it's
Yeah.
Why not, Dennis?
I'm not like Robert Marshall who gets up and starts that breakfast first thing in the morning downstairs. I not me. I'm not the
Yeah.
breakfast guy. I'm the evening.
You're the night
The
shift, huh?
yes, I am the night shift. I'm the closer.
I like
That's me.
it.
I'm the closer.
I like it.
So now we're ready. We are in Grand Lodge. What are some things that might be of interest to people when they walk into Grand Lodge?
So you're talking about inside the Grand Auditorium?
Yeah, just anything that might be of interest to people coming to Grand Lodge.
Oh my gosh. So when you walk in the building, first of all, it is a museum, right? It is a working museum, which we are lucky enough to have Sam Moody work here, who's done some incredible work on the main concourse and he has redone those displays in the main concourse, which is great because they've been static for so long. And they got a fresh look to them, which he did an excellent job. So
Ooh.
so we're real proud of the work that Sam did, and I hope everybody takes a minute to stop by and check that out. And then, of course, downstairs, museum downstairs. There's a Texas History Museum. That's the Republic of Texas Museum that's upstairs. So a lot of good stuff to see inside the building. Historic photos, the dioramas of the Texas history. Stick around at night. Come back in the front for the stained glass depicting the Masonic oak meeting. So there's just so much to take in and see I'm excited for people who've never been there before to them to get a look at. I mean, it's a building that should instill pride in every single Texas Mason because we're very lucky to have this and not have our Grand Secretary's office in a strip center.
Yeah, I was going to
That's
point out that a lot of Texas, if you haven't been a Mason very long, especially if you haven't traveled a lot, we are very fortunate to have, first of all, to have our own dedicated building, but to have a building as beautiful as the Grand Lodge of Texas. Many states, they have to meet in conference centers and stuff like that. I mean, we have something that is very unique and very special.
Yeah, absolutely.
There,
yeah.
there was,
One of my quiet places I go to is the old stained glass from the original Grand Lodge of Texas.
Yeah,
That's in that memorial area.
yeah,
That's where I go when it seems like the chaos is just a little too much.
yeah.
I go to my quiet place and can meditate for a little bit and enjoy just the moment, and then get right back out there into the vibration. I love it. That's one of. Don't worry, she's okay. My kid does that every once in a while.
No, I'm not worried.
Yeah, I see her. But
Yeah.
tell her I said hi. But yeah, that's one of my favorite places is that spot, and it's a hidden secret from a lot of people. A lot of people don't realize it's there. So make sure you get over there and find it. If you can't find it, come find me and I will tell you where it is. But
yeah, because it doesn't
otherwise,
look like much as you walk by it. It doesn't look like
you
anything from
will
just,
not
It,
even
it,
know
it
it's
does.
there. So yes,
Yeah.
so
The
if you
memorial room stained glass is awesome. That stained glass is from our old Grand Lodge building that was brought
yes,
over from our old Grand Lodge building, one piece of glass at a time, numbered and reassembled in this building. So it existed behind the east in our old Grand Lodge, and now is proudly displayed in that memorial room. And you're right, it's beautiful.
yes, that's
Yeah.
one
absolutely.
of my favorite places.
At the risk of backtracking a little bit, I did think of one thing I wanted to ask just as a follow-up about the pre-registration. If you have not pre-registered, what's kind of the timeline? And I realize it really probably depends on when you show up because first thing in the morning, it's a pretty long line. But on average, what would you say is the timeline? If I have not pre-registered, how much time do I really need to take into consideration from the time I get in line to have my packet?
Oh, those guys, those volunteers that do the registration are so good. You could once you get to the front of the line and it's your turn, you're gonna get registered within 10 minutes. So they're gonna have you through that line like that. Now, like you said, that line sometimes will be extremely long. So the earlier it is, the longer it is. So some patience there because those guys are working as diligently as possible, and they're just really good brothers who are just trying to help. So having some patience and understanding that they're just trying to get people through, and having your money ready, having your payment ready, and having your necessary ready to go will make the line move quickly, and they'll get you through just as quickly as possible. But yeah, it doesn't take very long from The time that you meet the first brother and get entered into the system, you're looking at about 10 minutes while walking away with a packet in your hand.
Wonderful.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
nice. Now, I would like to point out two things from that statement. Number one, brother, let's not forget that this is a volunteer organization, and something as large as Grand Lodge needs a lot of volunteers, and they're all brothers.
They are.
And so when we get there, we should conduct ourselves like we always do. I know you guys know this, but for all of our listeners out there, viewers out there, we should conduct ourselves, just I've talked about in the past on many occasions. Peace and harmony is not the end result. Peace and harmony is how we approach our brother. It's how we are within ourselves and how we present ourselves to our brother, and we're going to get the same in return. And so when you approach each other that way, things are going to go smoother. They're going to go. And I'm going to tell you, and now here's a second thing. When I first went and didn't know I had to have $20, the very first time I went to Grand Lodge, I didn't have cash. I had a credit card. They did not take credit cards back then. So you guys now you got it lucky. Back in my day, I'm just kidding. But
yeah. We can thank Right Worshipful Duty for that innovation.
yeah,
he did a lot of good work while he was in office, and that's one of the things that he did is brought us to the point of being able to take credit cards for registration, which is very nice.
Man, there are so many awesome things, including the cards that we have now that were just printed this year, and I realized not everybody has theirs in hand, but you got to realize that some of them went to this lodge, and you may have thought it was going to this one, but it went to this one because it goes to your home lodge. It's not going to get one for every lodge anymore, which is beautiful because of this. When you walk up and you have your card and you show it to them, they're just going to go and say, "Oh, you're okay. Move on."
That's it.
That it's just so simple. There's no more fumbling around with the card, typing everything in. I mean, it's just that easy. Thank you for the innovation coming in. I'm so glad.
That we were very lucky. I know there have been heard from a few people that got frustrated that their cards are in different places, and you're dealing with almost 80,000 individual cards. There's going to be some hiccups, right? But I think overall, we were very pleased with the way things turned out, and hiccups were to be expected, and I think we tried our best to keep them limited to as minimum as possible. And we got our brother Hancock here in the office, who's diligently printing all the cards that didn't get hit, or if they got lost in the mail somewhere. He's cranking them out as fast as he can to make sure that everybody has a card in hand. So
nice.
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
It was quite an undertaking getting those cards printed, getting them delivered, getting them sorted, getting them mailed out. So we were under the gun. We did our best, and we know that there was some that just not there. But we're going to circle back, and we're going to make sure everybody gets a card.
Well, I'm going to tell you, out of all my lodges, and I have lodges from North Texas to the furthest north to the very furthest south, and all of my lodges, there were zero problems. And that's quite a few lodges. So I have had a great experience, just talking to the brothers of those lodges. Everybody's had a great experience. So, kudos to y'all. I mean, with that many members that we have and that many lodges, and it's an undertaking. It's just as secretary sending out all those cards to just the people in my lodge.
Yeah.
My gosh. That was crazy. I don't want to do it again. So thank you for those cards.
Yes. Yeah, we're looking very much forward to not having to do that again for a really long time.
I would just say that before anybody complains about anything at Grand Lodge, first of all, if you've been a member long enough, you should remember this. And if you haven't been a member long enough, you now know that there was a time when there was no air conditioning in the auditorium. And there was a time when you wanted to vote, it was all done on paper ballot. And it was not long ago. As old fashioned as that sounds, it was not long ago.
That's
So
And we still have those just
still do.
case.
Yeah. I hope we never use them again. But
yeah.
there's been so many positive changes. And so before you complain, just think we could be sitting in here. Could you imagine last year if we had no air conditioning in that building? That
Oh
would have
my
been
gosh.
awful. And if we still did paper ballots, that would have been terrible.
It'd have been rough for sure.
Yeah.
It'd have been
Yeah,
rough for sure.
we might be finished by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So now we're into Thursday, right? This is the big show. What would somebody expect, and about what time does Grand Lodge get started? And if they're already pre-registered, how early do you think somebody might want to come to get to visit with brothers a little bit before they jump into grand session?
You know, that knew you were going to ask this, and I have the program pulled up here in front of me right now. And so your first session is going to start at 1 o'clock, right? And that's going to be some open portion where non-members alike can be there. And I try to invite, and I think it's a great idea if your wife is with you in town or your significant others with you in town, bring them in and show them what uh, some of the pomp and circumstances like. We'll have an address from the city of Waco. So we'll have the introductions and Grand Lodge officers proceed in. A lot of that is just beautiful because it's been done, 187
From
times,
time
right? So
immemorial.
yeah, that's right.
Yes. Yeah.
Really good for guests and visitors to see as well. So you got, your children in town with you. Bring them in and show them what it looks like when all this stuff's going on, and I think they'll get a kick out of it. I know my kid does. So
Yes.
yeah,
Sarah always loves to go by the Rainbow Girls and pick up the newest stuffed animal.
yeah,
And I always love listening to the Demolay and the Rainbow Girls. I love listening to their talks. They get the head of the state to come up and give a presentation, and man, they're always so poised and smart sounding. At least the boys do. They
yeah.
try to. The girls are really smart, and it really always impresses me. And I know that Sarah wants to be a Rainbow Girl, and so we always love to see that when we come into town.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So that
Thursday's open. So all of Thursday can be members and non-members alike in the auditorium, and that's a really good day to be in there, to just kind of watch the entrance and the welcomes and the responses and just everybody kind of glad to be together again. And it's a real good
yes,
feeling usually in that auditorium's just like, here we are again. And we made it through another year and a celebration of just coming together. So I really like that feeling of typically year over year. It's a good fuzzy feeling. Everybody's in there in the Grand Lodge together, and it's a good time. A lot of
yeah, I
backslapping and laughing. Yeah.
exactly. That's my favorite part. I get to hug a bunch of brothers I haven't seen in a year in some
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah.
Let's talk about after Grand Lodge for these days. Waco's a pretty good sized town, and there's quite a few Masonic related activities. What are some of the things you know of that if you don't know what's going on, that you might want to ask about it or check out?
Yeah, so the secret of Grand Lodge is the after hours events, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I believe they really in earnest kick off on Thursday night. Of course, when you're a steam circle, right? You guys have your dinner on Thursday night. Almost at the same time, I lead a pub crawl across Waco, and I do that because every year I would work down in the coffee shop with Brother Robert Marshall and the guys of 92, and people would come up and go, hey, where do we go to have a cigar? Or what place has the best collection of rare whiskeys or whatever? And so I started thinking, man, why don't we just do a pub crawl and these guys can start getting a feel for the places in Waco? And so So we're going to do that in coordination, just like we did last year with the Newberry Hospitality Suite. So we're going to start there. And Brother Carlton Newberry rents out a suite in the Hilton. I believe it's the Brazos Room. And so you'll be able to stop by there. You'll be able to imbibe in some libations that'll be in that hospitality suite, and meet a whole slew of brothers from across the state. And we're talking some of the best people you will ever meet in your whole life, uh, including the man himself, Carlton Newberry, who is just the crown jewel of Freemasonry. So he'll be in there, and you'll get to meet him. And then from there, they're opening that hospitality suite at 5 p.m. And so at 5 o'clock, you'll be able to go into the hospitality suite. And then from there, we'll start the pub crawl. And it'll go until we don't go anymore. So sometimes the pub crawl has ended at 2 a.m. Sometimes it's ended at midnight. So we just go until we can't go anymore. And then we go to bed and get ready for Friday morning. But
Very nice.
so the pub crawl the Masonic Improvement Inner Circle dinner and the Newberry Hospitality Suite are the highlights of Thursday night. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. There is no charge for the hospitality suite at Newberry's at the Hilton. There is no charge for the pub crawl except for what you order when you get to the establishments. Your tab is on you, but there is no additional charge for any of that. You just walk. It's all about fellowship and camaraderie, all that stuff. So we tried real hard to make these events not cost anything extra, because we know it's a cost already to make it to Waco and get a hotel room and gas and food and all that. So these are just opportunities to get together and have a good time with each other.
Absolutely.
that.
And are you going to have, what time do you think it'll kick off? Around 6 o'clock, would you say?
I would say the pub crawl is probably going to start roughly around 7:30.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I've already had people asking, and I said, guys, you're going to have to wait till the show. I'm just telling you. And so I wanted to make sure that was out there, but for everybody to know that it will start at the hospitality suite. That's where we've instructed all of our inner circle members to go as well. Before going to our dinner, told them go over there, have a couple drinks, visit with some brothers, then walk over and have a couple drinks at our resolution number 9 bar inside of our room that we have set up. And are you going to have the bagpipes again this year?
I hope so.
You just got to guilt them into it and say, hey, everybody remembers the bagpipes.
Yep.
Nobody remembers the crawl the next day. They all remember the bagpipes.
Yeah.
But last year I heard them coming and I knew it was y'all. I saw y'all and it's like, oh, it's too late to toast y'all. So this year you got to make sure as you're going over the crickets, you got to make sure and make some noise so I can hear you. And then we're going to stop and we're going to salute y'all with a toast as y'all go by. So you can tell everybody to look to your right, folks, and wave at the animals.
That'll be perfect.
It's also worth pointing out, if this is your first trip, all these things we're talking about are right by Grand Lodge. This is not something you have to drive all the way across Waco for or anything like that. So it's all very convenient. The dinner, crickets, the pub crawl in general, parts of it, the hospitality suite, it's a few blocks away, but it's all, I promise you, if you start the pub crawl, you'll make your way all over downtown Waco. So you'll see it all. But it's not something you have to really stress about, like, how am I going to get that kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I forgot to mention, along the pub crawl, we'll definitely have Gregorio Wright doing turtle initiations too, if you want to be in the Fraternal Order of Turtles. So
Nice.
So that'll happen as well. So, and then there'll be another turtle opportunity the next night as well. So yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here.
Well, now we're pretty much at that point. So Friday morning, what generally starts Friday morning?
Friday morning is the session in earnest starts at 9 a.m. So I of course get here early. Even before I worked here, I would always be here pretty early. The building typically opens around 7:30, 8 o'clock. You'll be able to come in, you can get your seat. You can get downstairs. Waco 92 usually has coffee and donuts downstairs. You can grab a coffee and a donut, get yourself some breakfast. There's opportunities for fellowship downstairs before the session starts. But the session starts in earnest at 9 o'clock, and that's where we really begin the work of the Grand Lodge. We start hearing committee reports. At some point, we'll start voting on or setting a time for our elections for the grand officers for the ensuing Masonic year. And so that's where really the meat and potatoes on Friday really start happening is you're going to hear committee reports. You're going to hear actual work that's been done throughout the year of the Grand Lodge and all the people who work to make this machine go, and you'll hear what they've been up to and the work that they've been doing individually, because there's some great brothers out there from the jurisprudence committee to the civil law committee to the education committee to the service committee. Those the Masonic Relations Committee, so that they're out there doing just really good work, and you'll hear those reports. And I think one of the greatest things was eye opening to me the first time I got to hear those reports is it's just there's a lot of work being done, and you
Yeah.
just don't realize how much and how many people are involved in all these different committees and the work that they're doing. So you'll get to hear and know and see some of those reports. Thanks to the work of the Internet Committee and the sale of the app, we now have a jumbotron inside the Grand Lodge Auditorium, and so yeah, we get to
Yes.
see a whole lot more than we used to because we had those tiny projector screens and we were limited to what we can show, and now. The Internet Committee's just done a lot of great work on our graphics, displays, and some of the things that they put up on that jumbotron, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and
Just
even then it was fuzzy at best. When you looked at those screens, I mean, you could tell there were words up there, but we just still had to trust the brother that was speaking on what he was saying. That's for sure. This is
That's right.
awesome. I can't wait.
That's right.
just a hot take since we're talking about mornings. My own personal opinion. If you don't want to walk very far and park very far, uh, I'd wake up early and get there early. That's I would wake up stupid early and I get there as early as I can because I don't like to walk. I don't like to leave my truck far from Grand Lodge. So I wake up
Carpool,
super early. Carpool if you
carpool.
can. Split the cost because a lot of parking. Bring cash for Grand Lodge. That's probably a really important thing. Like we're talking about, you can use card and stuff in Grand Lodge, and that's great. But I promise you, if you pull up to someone's parking that they're just letting you pay to park, they're probably not going to take cards. So bring cash. It just makes your whole
Speak,
life easier.
Speaking of, and I know that you'll have something to talk about on parking, Dave, but I would like to take this moment talking about bringing cash and talk about the pop-up shop, baby. That's
Oh,
a great experience. It's a great place to go, and it's right across the street at Southern Roots. Have a beer and a browse and start your day off right. Where so when is that going to open up? Is that going to be on Friday or is it going to be Thursday afternoon? When are we going to see that open up?
yeah, we'll see it Thursday morning, 10:30.
Oh,
Yeah. So we're looking forward to having the pop-up shop at the Taylor Museum again, but they unfortunately are in the middle of a remodel. And so all of their artifacts had been moved into the space that we would have had the pop-up shop in. And so we were unable to have it there. So I scrambled around and found Southern Roots, and Southern Roots is kind enough to make some space for us. And they said the only caveat is that you have to abide by our regular business hours. So 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night
wow.
is when the vendors. Now I won't say that each vendor.
Plenty of time. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't say that each vendor will stay there till 11:30 at night or 11 o'clock at night, and so they may wrap up at some point, right? But they have the availability to be there that long if they want to. So I would say your best shot is coming in the morning. at 10:30. You know, if we get a break in the action and you want to scoot over across the street, you're talking about, I don't know, 50 steps from the front door of Grand Lodge of Texas to Southern Roots Brewery. It's directly across the street. You cannot miss it. It's on the corner of 8th and Columbus. There's a little parking lot there. Right behind that is the brewery, and inside the brewery, the walls are just going to be lined with Masonic vendors, and we got some really great ones. Some coming from outside of the state, selling rings and knives, and we got cigar vendors, and so we've got some spots, and we've got some really good guys who are coming in and selling some really cool stuff.
And being at the brewery actually might help them sell more things. I'm just thinking, I know when they do auctions, there's a reason they serve drinks during auctions, right? So you kind of get the things rolling. So
Yep. In fact, while we were talking about it, I was thinking, next year maybe I'll do a fundraiser for Waco 92 with selling a beer and having a beer and a browse if we go back to the museum.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
either venue is awesome, and I'm sorry that I won't be there this year because last year I felt so bad. I was in Grand Lodge the whole time, and the guys next to me were selling all my cases for me, and it's like, oh man,
Yeah.
I just can't make y'all sit here and do this for me again. But one day I'll find me, a little girl that grows up to be, mature enough to do something like that, and she's probably mature enough now and knows how to do it. But I feel better if she's a little older before she starts slinging cases for me. But one of these days soon, we'll get her out there to sell some cases.
Yeah.
So one of the things I want to get back to though is parking.
Okay.
So isn't there going to be some options there going to the hotel?
We did. So we typically used to have volunteers that ran kind of a transit system where we rented 15 passenger vans and golf carts, and we would drive them around and kind of pick people up. This year, we had the idea that we would partner with Waco Transit. And so Waco Transit's actually going to run uh, a trolley bus that I think seats 30, and they're going to run on a set course and pick people up from a set pickup locations that Right Worshipful Billings put together. And I'm sorry I don't have that in front of me, but I know it was in the Grand Secretary's monthly communication as those trolley spots. So go back and read that, and it'll tell you exactly where those pickup points are, and you'll be able to utilize the Waco transit system for free to get to Grand Lodge. And so that's particularly important for people with mobility issues because those trolleys that they're using are handicap accessible. So if you do have some sort of mobility issue, they're going to be well equipped to make sure that you get to where you need to be safely and quickly. So a lot better than we can do it in a 15 passenger van.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, y'all are on it. I'm telling you, it sounds like, after last year, you just immediately got to work thinking about this year because those are things that I wouldn't have thought about. And that you're right, that is extremely important. We have a lot of mentor generation brothers that are out there that need our assistance in getting to Grand Lodge. And man, that is important. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was thinking something very similar is that you guys in the office and the Grand Secretary have like you must have been busting your butt all year long to get all this stuff going. I mean, it's really exciting to see all the great things that are going on.
Yeah, well, I tell everybody we're standing on the shoulders of Right Worshipful Duty because he really laid the groundwork to make sure that we were successful and are successful. And he was even here on his birthday 2 days ago, making sure that we had things well in hand to make sure that pre-registration was going smoothly. And so yes, we've been working really hard. We've been thinking about all the things that we could do to possibly make this a good experience for everybody. We anecdotally heard a story last year of a guy who had to walk 3 blocks with a walker So we really tried real hard to make sure that the limited parking that we do have in the back is strictly for those who do have mobility issues, and trying to make sure that everybody who possibly needs a handicap spot or a close spot, even if they're not, technically handicapped, somebody, if they're having trouble walking around or moving around, we do want those older brothers to have those spots, because I know I had a hard time sleeping at night knowing that some guy on a walker had to walk, any longer than, the back parking lot to get into his Grand Lodge. And so we really tried real hard to avoid that this year and make sure that those spots that we have back there, those precious few that we own back there, are reserved for those guys, and making sure that they get a spot. And if you didn't get a handicap parking pass, because I know they're few and far between, and we tried to make sure that we doled them out as judiciously as possible. But if you didn't, please make sure that you find a trolley spot where the city of Waco and the Waco Transit System can pick you up and bring you safely to the Grand Lodge, because that's your best bet if you didn't get a handicap parking spot in the back.
Nice.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was going to move on unless you had something else you want to bring up about
No,
this.
go ahead.
So
Go
we
ahead.
talk about the actual session of Thursday now, but what's going to be going on Thursday evening?
No,
So-
we've already talked about Thursday. You're talking about Friday.
Yeah, we're
I'm
moving to
sorry,
Friday.
Friday. I
Yeah.
got my days mixed up. I was talking
Okay.
So Friday,
So,
I believe,
no.
is Friday evening, I believe, is another must-attend event, and that is the Masonic concert at the Backyard Bar and Stage. And Waco 92 hosts that concert. Uh, the brethren of Waco 92, Robert Marshall and John Michael Gillespie, Worshipful Master Ryan Durker. Those guys are working really hard to make sure that they pull that together. They've secured Phoenix Theory, the band, again, to headline the show, which, if you don't know, the lead singer is a Mason. So he's a Prince Hall Mason, but still just as good a brother as anybody else I've ever met in my whole life. Eric Huggins is just the man, and he's got a voice of an angel, and looking forward to him. And that is it of all the events that we have. I would suggest you got to make that one. I mean, you got to make the concert, because that is one time where we're just all hanging out. I mean, there's nothing happening. There's usually no presentations or anything like that. We're just having fun, listening to some good music, listening to some brothers play some good music, and meeting and seeing and hugging guys from all over the state. The concert is a must attend. You've got to go.
Yes, and there's fire pits and heaters all over the place, so everybody is huddled up, visiting and talking and having a sip or two. And you're right. The only presentation I've ever seen was when Robert, proposed, and thankfully she said yes. That would have been bad, but that was the only time that I've ever seen any presentation. Otherwise, it's just been straight up good music the whole night long. And golly, you just see all the brothers that were in suit and tie earlier in the day, working it out, going to the backyard and playing it out, and everybody just enjoying each other, fellowship. I mean, it really is another great event, really.
Yeah, it's a great event. I can't talk about it highly enough. At that event, we'll also have another opportunity for you to become a turtle. So if you missed out on the pub crawl, they'll have turtle initiations there. And I do believe that 92, I'm pretty sure this year, I may be speaking out of turn, but they typically do a annual turtle merchandise opportunity where you can buy it, and it's dated the year, so you can collect those over the years. And so they'll probably have that on hand as well if they keep that tradition alive, and they did so this year. I'm pretty sure they did, but I may be speaking out of school.
Very nice. Well, and now on Friday night, there's not the Newberry Hospitality Suite, but Austin 12 has rented out the Brazos room for a hospitality suite on Friday night.
That's
So
right.
before you go to the bar and grill, then you ought to definitely go by and everybody start it all up again at the Hilton and then head on out, because really it's just a walk away. It's a block and a half, 2 blocks tops over to the next location. I mean, how good can that be?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's always a good night. And then we roll in Saturday.
Yep. Roll in Saturday. Saturday is kicking off again at looks like we're going to be called to labor at 8:15 a.m. on Saturday morning. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
We're
we're
gonna
going to have to with all
It's a
those
lot to cover.
resolutions.
Yeah.
If we're lucky, a few of them might, back out at the last minute and give us some reprieve, but because it's going to be a long session. And typically we're electing in the morning and getting ready for installation that afternoon. So
That's correct.
that's cutting it close, man.
That's a
But
lot of resolutions to get through.
Yeah.
I think we can do it.
And
So-
I would just say, and we've hit this a lot because you point out like there's a lot of resolutions. If you haven't pre-registered, you need to be there because we're covering a lot of Masonic business, and it's going to influence your fraternity that you are a part of. And some of these resolutions are very important, and so you need to be there. We've been hitting on this for months, but just one last time, probably not the last time, actually, because you know how we are. But you need to be there because there are so many resolutions, and it is so much business that affects you as a Freemason in your lodge. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there because as soon as you said it, I was like, man, there's just too much to cover to not be there if you can help it.
There's a lot going on.
Well, the reality is, Robert Park was on earlier this season, and we talked about several things. And in fact, he was on the resolution show that we do. And he gave me a different perspective that I kind of appreciate now. He said, we have this huge book, right? But it's big because we're active. We're actively trying to do better within our fraternity.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to close some gaps and fix some things that may need fixing. Some may not need fixing, but we're trying to do that. We're actively putting it to the craft, which is so important. The craft has to show up so that they can make that decision and it not just be a small few making the decision for the masses.
That's right.
There's nothing that breaks my heart more than thinking about 3,000 men making the decision for 57,000 members or 54,000 members.
That's right.
But that's the reality that's almost capacity for us. But the merrier. We need you there.
It's your fraternity. Yeah.
Don't complain about how things go at Grand Lodge if you can be there and you're not.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, now that you started us on that rabbit hole, now dig us back out of it, big boy.
So we're going to cover elections in the morning, and then as soon as those are over, we're going to get into the resolutions. What are we doing after that? Is that usually how we wrap things up, or is there anything else that goes on after that?
So we'll get through the resolutions, and then we'll do any kind of reports that might be hanging loose, any unfinished business, Grandmaster recommendations, or anything like that. We'll have all of that stuff finishing up on Saturday, and then we'll have Saturday afternoon right about 1:30, 2:30, right around in there. We're going to have the installation of the next Grand Lodge officers. So that is an open session. Spouses are welcome. Visitors are welcome. If you got, children, you can bring them in. They can watch the installation ceremony. It's a real good time for people to see all the pomp and circumstance and get to celebrate another Masonic year, turning the page, and see new Grand Master. Take the east and assume his place, and then it's actually up to the new Grand Master to actually close the Grand Lodge. And so they'll excuse the visitors, and they'll actually call the Grand Lodge back to order and close it for the year. And so that's his first official act as as the Grand Master to close that session. So it's always a good thing to see. I think it's a really neat part. And one thing I wanted to mention is if you've never been to Grand Lodge, just wait till they do the Pledge of Allegiance inside the Grand Lodge
Oh,
for the
yes.
first time. That gave me chills the very first time I did that. Just to say the pledge along with 3,000 other men and hear, that echo in that room. It's a real
Yes.
special thing, and I look forward to it every year. I get chills every time we do it. So it's a cool thing.
Me too. And last year, man, I damn near cried.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just that powerful last year with so many people. I mean, it was, man, took me away.
Yeah, it was
I was
special.
standing next to him. He tried to hug me and stuff. I'm like, get off me, Dennis. We're here for business.
He was just trying to wipe his tears on your shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. Just
So sensitive.
But what's funny though is that whenever I'm watching the installation and the closing of Grand Lodge, man, I love the installation. I always watch it. I have from day one. I stay through the whole thing. In fact, we've talked about this before on the show that if you're just not worn out after Grand Lodge, you're just not doing Grand Lodge. And I know that, and Right Worshipful Cody Stewart's the one who brought that up. And he's absolutely right. I'm so tired, I can't even go home. It's really only a 3-hour drive for me. And I'm just too tired to drive home. I stay another night and then go to the first meeting the next day. But really, it's because I'm just so dang tired. I just can't move after it's like just trying to open a door with a shoulder, just slapping it with one hand. But I'm always watching after installation. I'm always watching that new Grandmaster and all the different officers. Did you study up ahead of time? Did you really get ready? Did you do a Form 101? Just kidding. I would hate to be junior deacon. Yeah, junior deacon in the Grand Line and have to repeat all that. Cody, I mean not Cody, Ricky Cox, man, he does a great job at it. He remembers all that stuff. He rattles it all off. I don't see how he does it.
Yeah, he did a good job. He did.
What else you got for us, Dennis?
Well, because I will be staying afterwards. Now, is there anything going on afterwards that you know about, or that typically happens, or sometimes happens after Grand Lodge is over?
So usually, those of us who typically volunteer a lot during Grand Lodge, Saturday night is our night to let our hair down, because at that point it's over with, and we've accomplished our goals, and we've gotten all of our hard work done, and we've made sure all the other brothers had a good time, and then that's where some of us who do the hard work let our hair down a little bit, and so we typically end up at Crickets to start with. And then the incoming grandmaster typically has a banquet. That's an invite only. What we tend to stay out until those folks who are at that banquet are able to meet up with us, and then we do let our hair down on Saturday. But there's nothing really formal about that meeting. We've planned and we've worked and we've made it through, and we've gotten all the little fires put out and everything, and that's where we're just letting our hair down and enjoy. Yeah,
go where the wind blows.
That's it. But we typically all end up together somehow. It just magically happens.
Yes, very nice, very nice. Yeah, I will typically find a room where brothers that travel in from out of state, the ones that are still there on Saturday night. I'll typically find a room in some hotel and just sip some scotch and talk Freemasonry and but you can do that at Crickets too. So I recommend that anybody that's looking for something to do, just find the people you love and hang out with them for one more night, because
that's it.
It's always a good time in Waco.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all 3 days right there.
That's it.
I propose that we move on to our final thoughts, and we have the inner circle here with us. So after final thoughts, we'll conclude the main session, and then we'll we'll still record, but it'll be just for the inner circle people on YouTube, and
Great.
let them ask their questions, anything that comes to mind for them, and then we'll call it a wrap. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Great.
Sounds good to me.
Well, I'll just, Dave, do you have anything that you'd like to, anything that's on your mind, or anything that do you just want to share before we wrap up?
Well, I appreciate the effort that it takes for every single person to visit Waco, to visit the Grand Lodge. So we don't take that lightly. That it's at a personal cost, that you guys make that trip every year, and we appreciate it. Your Grand Lodge appreciates it, and we know we say, like, this is your Grand Lodge, and this is your fraternity, and you should be involved. But we also know that it comes at a personal cost, that you have to, uh, you gotta have to get a hotel room for 3-4 days or whatever it is. And so we just really appreciate it. We appreciate the support and the time that it takes, and we know that the people that come are the people who truly care about their Grand Lodge. And so we just want to say thank you for being involved. Thank you for caring enough to show up to your Grand Lodge, and coming. And if there's anything we can do, we take suggestions. If there's anything we can do to make the experience more fulfilling for you as a member, because that's what it's all about. If we're not enjoying ourselves, then what are we doing? And so if we can make it more enjoyable for you, more educational, or whatever we can do to make your trip to Waco, to visit your Grand Lodge, any better, we definitely take any kind of suggestions that you got. This year, of course, is too late, but we definitely take suggestions for next year, and it's how we improve. It's how we've made these improvements that we have made. Is just people going, have you ever thought about this? And we do our best to make it happen. If it makes sense for the brethren, it makes sense for the Grand Lodge, and we can feasibly do it, we're all in. So we just appreciate everybody. We appreciate the support that we've gotten from all of the Masons who've called and emailed, and just had complimentary things to say about the hard work that us as the employees of the Grand Lodge have done this year. So thank y'all for your kind words on hard days. Those were really welcome. And so we had some hard days, but we definitely just, the employees, all the employees here at the Grand Lodge, just we did our very best, roll up our sleeves and take care of you guys as best we could. And through the leadership of Right Worshipful Billings, we just we put our elbows to the grindstone and really tried to get all the work done that help the secretaries, that help the individual members. And so we thank you for your patience and your kindness, and we hope that our work made a better fraternity for you. So
Okay.
that's all I got.
Well, now I'm kind of disappointed because as you were talking, I have a piece of notebook paper front and back full of last minute suggestions, and you're saying you're not interested in those right now?
No, I'm always interested. I'm always interested, but getting them pulled off right now at the 11th hour would be extremely difficult.
Yeah,
No.
you can mail them. You can mail them to P.O. Box.
Yeah, yeah. No, in all seriousness, I would not even know what to suggest because you guys are doing such a fantastic job. And that's really just what I want to touch on. I'm not going to be very lengthy because really all that needs to be said is you guys in the office, Right Worshipful Billings, are just absolutely crushing it. Especially after I've learned so much about the things you've been doing just from this little hour and a half by the time we're done conversation. And I really appreciate you and everything that y'all do. And the Grand Lodge of Texas and all of its members, oh, all of y'all, a thank you, because you you did not have to work as hard as you did, right? Like we've had some great secretaries in the past, but y'all are raising the bar, and you didn't have to. But thank you. We are in your debt for all the service that you are doing to our fraternity, and I'll leave it at that.
It is an honor. Thank you.
Well, I've got barely. There's really not much I can add to that, except I I've been showing up to Grand Lodge for quite some time now, and I can't say that it's as long as some of the folks out there, but I've witnessed a lot of things happen at Grand Lodge. I've witnessed a lot of change. The one thing for sure in life is that change is inevitable. Sometimes it's for the good, sometimes for the bad. I can tell you that right now we're on a positive trajectory for Grand Lodge. Not just with the office staff. I mean, they're doing a phenomenal job. But our trustees are all in sync with each other, it seems like, and they're all working towards a positive forward movement for the craft. And it's such a great time to be a Mason, and it's such a great thing to be a part of. And I can't wait to get to Grand Lodge for that very reason. And Dave, I do love you. I think the world of you, and I think that you do so much for us. You really do, and you always have. You did even before you became the Grand Secretary's office administrator. I mean, face it, you've been working that position since from the first time I met you. I mean, that's what you do. You're a servant leader, and I think that each person in your office right now, they all have the same kind of mindset. They all want to be the best they can be for the craft, and I can tell that anytime I call, anytime I text, email, usually one of any ways, and I always get a response. Always. I've never been dropped through the cracks like you would expect from a large corporation. I haven't, and I think that's from any of the employees there in any situation, and I think that it just speaks it speaks the world of the leadership that they're working with, and in you, and then the leadership that you work for, which is our Grand Secretary, and then of course the leadership that you all work for, as in the trustees for the Grand Lodge of Texas, when we're not in session. When we're in session, we get to come in and pull off the gloves and say, move aside, trustees, this is our house. But until then, y'all are taking great care of us right now, and I want to see that continue to go. And so, brothers, I hope that you get to come and experience the brotherly love and affection firsthand from your Grand Lodge, and see what peace and harmony really is, because it has been this year. And we owe a world of gratitude to a lot of people for making that happen, you included. All the brothers out there that are out there listening and watching, you're part of this as well. And if it wasn't for each and every one of you, Texas would not be as strong, and would not be as motivated, and it would not be as beautiful as it is, and it wouldn't be God's country, like Cody likes to say. We are blessed to be in God's country down here in Texas, and God's shining on us right now. So that's all I've got to say. I appreciate you, brothers, and keep it between the points.
I'm just gonna make one quick comment. Dave's been on the show before. He could have easily had done this interview from home. He's in the office, still working.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that speaks volumes about the kind of character that these guys have in the office.
Yeah, he's on his lunch break, so get back to work, Dave.
It's 10:30 at night, and he's still in the office. I just wanted to point that out. Sorry, Dennis. I know you're doing your final thoughts, but I was thinking about that when you're talking about that, and that's worth pointing out. These guys are crushing.
You're right. We started it pointing it out, and we need to end it pointing it out that so he's obviously not done. Yeah. Otherwise, he could have easily walked out the door with us in his hand. But
right.
But we appreciate it.
Hey, your words humble me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.